Okay, good morning. Plan to do a little bit longer of an intro when I first got here, just out at my first location, but got here a little later than expected. And the conditions and light are perfect right now, but they're gonna change by the minute. So just rushing to get out to this first spot to photograph it. So let's get out here and set up and then explain a little bit more of where we're at, what I'm doing. Okay, so all set up here for my first shot at the first location. Basically out for the day with the large format camera and some color film and taking action on this project idea that I've had for a couple of years now that I've just been putting off. And I spoke about this in my first video of the year on the channel, and this is something I want to do more of. So I've been out twice already. This is my third time, and just trying to start visiting spots and making images. So wanted to get this shot first here before the conditions change too much, because it's really nice right now. So I'm gonna load in some film, shoot this first frame, then I'll go into detail of kind of where we're at and specifically what this location is. Okay, so one frame in the bag can kind of settle things down a little bit now, but where I'm at right now, this is a place called Holton, Heath, and this is kind of on the south coast of England as you start to get near Swanage. And this whole area is really fascinating just because back in World War II, in Holton Heath area, there was a cordite factory, and if you're not familiar with what cordite is, basically it was a replacement for gunpowder. They would use it for projectiles, like anti-aircraft ammunition and things like that. So obviously a very important place to protect during the war from bombing raids and things like that. So there's defenses all over the place here, going down towards Swanage as well, and a number of places I'm going to visit today. But this was the first one I wanted to come look at. Obviously we have these two concrete towers here in the background, and these were actually anti-aircraft towers, and I think there's only 10 of these left standing in the UK. They're quite a unique site in the landscape, and there's a pair here and a pair across the road, and there's two of them obviously, but how it would have worked is one of them would have had an anti-aircraft gun and the second tower would have been the observation post. They're actually not joined, there's a gap in the middle of them, and that's so when the aircraft gun fired, it wouldn't shake the observation post. So yeah, really fascinating to see this still standing in the landscape, and something I've wanted to come photograph for a while now, just as part of this project, you know, documenting these old World War II structures that are basically across Britain. So yeah, didn't disappoint this morning. Wasn't expecting sun, I was hoping for cloud, but there was a little bit of atmosphere left. So we'll see how that first image looks on some Portra 160. All right, on the road to the next location. You know, I referenced earlier this first video of the year that I did, and if you missed that one, basically in it I was talking about kind of changes I want to make and things I want to do a bit differently. And my big focus this year is to just start taking action on ideas I have and things that interest me, and stop, you know, planning so much and, you know, worrying if, you know, is the weather right to go out, is the location going to be good. Like, do a little bit of that, but then just go. Start taking action, start making work. Because there's so much stuff that's just unpredictable and you don't know. And even today's a great example, you know. The reason I came out is because it said it's gonna be pure cloud all day, which is what I wanted. And the first couple hours of the day were pure sun. And I actually think, we'll see how that first image looks, but I think that location will work better like that. As soon as the clouds rolled in, it got pretty flat. So yeah, you just never know. You never know exactly how a place is gonna be. You never know what's gonna work best. So yeah, my focus, you know, really this year is just shoot, make way more work, because you gotta make a lot of it to make a few good things. So that's what today is all about, is just putting in the work. So one image down, we'll see how it is, and hopefully get a couple more done here before the day's over, but still got these short winter hours, so trying to get moving. So the rest of the day ended up being one of those where nothing really seems to work out how you'd hoped. And it wasn't until a few hours later, after visiting multiple spots, that I was able to make my last image of the day, which was out at a peninsula where there's this row of anti-tank blocks, pretty well preserved, that extend off the beach out into the water. And I was happy to be able to make something work there, but also decided that I was going to head out the next morning to finish up the rest of the film that I'd loaded. Okay, day 2. The first shoot day didn't end up going as I'd hoped. I basically visited, I think, about 5 or 6 extra locations and couldn't really get access to any of them. I made a couple more images right at the end of the day, but yeah, tough day. That's how it goes sometimes, but you know, sticking with this theme of just taking action and getting out, I still had a few sheets of film left, so woke up very early, decided to pop out to a local spot here, a little closer to home, and spend the first few hours of the morning here. So we'll get up here and I'll show you where we're at. So we'll get into making some more images in a minute here. Just have to take a quick break to talk about the sponsor today, which is Squarespace. This year, one of the things I decided I wanted to return to was writing again, but specifically bringing it back to my website rather than on social platforms. And I've been using Squarespace for my website for the past few years now, and I've loved the platform. If you're starting from scratch, they have a number of professional looking templates or something like their blueprint builder that'll help you build your website in a matter of minutes. But for me, I love how easy it is to customize or expand my site when I have new ideas. And as an example, when I decided I wanted to start writing a blog again, it was as simple as adding a pre-made blog template page and starting to write. But also, I love how easy it is to do things like update image galleries by simply clicking and dragging to reorder, or even adding an online shop with new products. So if you've been wanting to make a website for your photography, check out squarespace.com, sign up for a free trial, test it out, and when you're ready to launch, you can use my link below to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Okay, let's get back into it. So this is the location. I'm out at a place called Hankley Common. As you can see here, there's this massive, about 300-foot long concrete wall, and this was built by the Canadians back in World War II for training. So this is a replica of the Atlantic Wall that they would face during the D-Day invasion, and they built it here and used it for training purposes. There's a couple kind of areas down the wall that I'll show you after where there's kind of parts of it have been kind of exploded, and obviously they're doing tests on it. So yeah, the fact that this is still here, you know, sitting in the landscape and the history behind it is just really, really interesting. So I want to come and photograph this for a while, and I think we'll get set up and get started here before the sun gets up. So I got about 20 minutes before the sun rises, and I'm trying to beat that at the second. I like the idea of doing one right now, hopefully within the next 5 minutes, where still kind of twilight, there's a little bit of atmosphere, it's a little darker, and then probably shoot one once the sun's up a bit and we get some of that light. 2 variations, but I want to try and get this one done quick. Been shooting a mix of Portra and Ektar over the past few days, but I think for this one we're going to do Portra 160. All right, so I'm going to shoot at f/22. This is an interesting one to meter because we basically have the sky, which is incredibly bright in comparison to kind of the end of the wall here. And if I spot meter the end of the wall, I'm getting like 20, 25 seconds, and the sky is a sixth of a second. So huge contrast range here. I think what they'll do is we'll say 20 seconds for the wall, and I'll put that about 2.5 stops, maybe 3 stops under, because I don't mind if that's dark. So maybe go around 3 seconds. There we go. right, I'll show you a little closer look at some of the stuff here with the wall. So fairly complete here, but as you get up to kind of the middle of it here, there's two sections where, yeah, basically it's been caved in. This is obviously where they're doing their testing. See right behind me here, all this kind of rebar coming out, this reinforced concrete. So there's one there. And then this is actually, looks like it's cut right through the middle. And it looks like there's actually a plaque up here. But yeah, just so fascinating, and it keeps going there, all the way down there, but let's see what this plaque says. So this says, the Atlantic Wall was built in 1943 during the Second World War by Canadian troops as a replica of the German Atlantic anti-tank defenses on the northern French coast. It says the wall was used as a major training aid to develop and practice techniques to breach it with explosives. Wow. So as you wander through the woods here, there's all of this other stuff that was obviously used for training purposes. You know, some more section of concrete here with some rebar coming out of it. Even more right there. And this kind of stretches off down that way. It looks like a kind of like a small, much smaller concrete wall. So some more stuff here too. I think these are some dragon's teeth, they call them, these tank blocks. This little section of them. They're obviously using this place for not just training with the wall, but other things as well. What's really wild though is there's all of this forestry going on right now. And this place, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if in the near future it looks very different. All right, so the scene's changing. The sun is up a little bit now. A few clouds rolling in. So I'm gonna actually shoot a second frame of this. Give me two options. Go with that. Okay, so that's two sheets. The sun's starting to come up now and change the scene a little bit too much, but I'm gonna go look for one more area that I had in mind just to finish up the film that I had loaded. But I gotta say, you know, it's been nice to finally commit to making this stuff. It's been about maybe a week total now of coming out and shooting a bunch of these locations, and it's been a new challenge, you know, obviously shooting color, trying to figure out how to work that in these landscapes after, you know, shooting black and white for so long. But also a lot of these scenes are challenging to make an image that works, just because, yeah, I guess like the color palette, they're often quite busy, you know, they're not these like loud kind of dramatic scenes where things are jumping out at you. So it's certainly been a new challenge, and it's nice to finally just commit to it and commit to figuring that out and not worry, you know, right away if images are working or if I know exactly kind of where it's going. Because that's something that I did in the past, is it's like I'd shoot once or I'd shoot twice, and if it didn't work, I'd be like, I'll go back to what I typically do. But yeah, committing to figuring it out feels really good. And even just the process has been nice to get out. It's like my 5th time out with the large format this year. So yeah, it's been a nice change, I gotta say. Anyway, it's gonna pack up, go and try and find one more spot to shoot these last 2 sheets, and then we'll go develop. So I ended up making one more image to finish the day, and that was going to visit this location where these dragon's teeth still exist alongside a river. And I think that it's probably a return location, as I feel like there's a bit more potential here, just maybe need some different conditions. But overall, I come out of the week with a total of 7 images that I feel pretty happy about. And these 2 that I'm going to show you right now were actually from the very first outing of the week, which was this foggy morning, visiting some spots along the canal near home. And I thought about ending this video doing a bit of an image review, but I decided that I'm just gonna stick to my plan and let these sit for a bit and not overanalyze them, and instead just focus on getting back out to make some more work and honestly just enjoy the process as much as possible.